Let's go back to Wellington, where we're joined now by business editor Giles Beckford. Hi, Giles. RNZ Oil and Gas taking up the benefits of a big gas discovery.
Well, good evening to you, John. Yes, at the annual meeting today, the Chief Executive, Andrew Jeffries, was talking rather fulsomely and positively about the prospects that might come from a big gas discovery off the east coast of the South Island. Now, they have a prospect area called the Bark Prospect, and that has some seismic work done on it. It's regarded as one of the better prospects around the world in deepish water. It's about 80 k's off the coast. And the company is actually positive enough to have commissioned an economic impact report on what would be the effect if there was a big commercial gas find there. And they're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars for the local economy, billions of dollars of exports for New Zealand, lots of, thousands of jobs being created both in the construction and then the later operation of the company and of the field. And somewhat counterintuitively, they also suggest that in fact it would be environmentally good because it would mean that gas would replace coal in a lot of South Island industrial plants. Now, I did speak to Andrew Jeffries a little after that meeting today, and I put it to him that it actually sounded pretty much like a remake of Robert Muldoon's Think Big strategy of the late 70s and early 80s. And I suspect there was a bit of a wry smile on his face. He said, well, the difference between then and now was we're talking about private money being invested. He was talking about public money. So it's up in the air. It's big blue ocean sort of vision, but it's clearly, I think, they are eager to try and drill that area if they can, and certainly it looks like that they'll probably find some partners in due course to be able to do that.
Thanks, Giles. Let's change subject entirely, and this is an echo of the big finance company crash that, oh boy, a lot of money was lost in New Zealand during and after the GFC. What's happening now?
Well, we spent a lot of time last week, or various media outlets did, talking about the 30th anniversary of the share market crash of the 80s. But
yeah, 87,
we should think that it was only about a decade ago, in fact a little bit less, that we had an equally cataclysmic financial hit here, and that was all the finance companies that got taken out by the global financial crisis. These are the ones who had lent at pretty high rates to somewhat dubious property developments, and I think the collective worth or collective value of the crashes, and there were 30, 40 companies that went down the gurgler, was around $5 or $6 billion of New Zealanders' investments, and that was, for a lot of people, that was their retirement savings as well. Well, one of the companies that that was involved then was a company called Strategic Finance, and those with long memories will remember that Jock Hobbs, the former head of the late Jock Hobbs, I should say, of the rugby union, was a director of that company for a while. Its receivers have finally decided to draw a line under it. And they've said, look, we've done as much as we can. We've got back as much money as we think we can humanly, feasibly, legally get. And really, it's really just time to say it's over. It's done and dusted. Now, this is a company that lost close to $380 million. And of that, they've recovered around $70 million. So basically 20 cents in the dollar for the people who were invested there. And I suspect that there are still some of the recovery jobs out there being done by receivers trying to claw back losses from companies that were in similar situations. And no doubt at some stage or other, people are just going to say, please, no more. Just let it all go away and let it fade as a rather bad memory in history.
Yeah, it was a bad memory. Nearly a decade on. It's extraordinary. Some of those directors went to jail, of course, which was...
Indeed, they did for somewhat improper accounting procedures, not to mention their lack of fiscal rectitude as directors of the company.
Yeah. What happened on the markets today, Giles?
Well, speaking of rectitude, we're actually back on the rising tide for shares. The top 50 index gaining about 0.7%. That was 59 points. 8144 is the close. It's in spitting distance, literally, of a record high. For the New Zealand dollar, still on the back foot, 68.4 US cents and 89.1 Australian.
Giles Beckford, our business editor. Thanks very much indeed, Giles.